Well, it's a big switch up coming out from Oxygen heading into the first map of the series. Really fun Asian composition. We get to see them pull it for the first time. And honestly, Jen, worked out so well. That was a very different showing from Oxygen than the last time these two met.
Oh my God, like what was that match? Like what was that game? We were teasing that this was gonna be close. We're having like this opposite day where like maybe the Moist Shopify match was not supposed to be close and then it was, and this one was supposed to be close and now it's not. Like Oxygen are on one today, and we were not expecting the clove, and we're like, it's basically like a duelist and a controller clothing, and well, it's kind of a feast or famine scenario, and we were eating good today. First clove on mainstream of Challengers absolutely ripped the other team to shreds.
Feasting. Scuba was feasting in the server. As the audience, we were feasting as well. I mean, it's just so much fun to watch this character play. It's such a unique agent with a unique skill set. And like we touched on, you know, if you're on it, you're on it. You're creating a lot of value. If you're not, you could be a little bit of a liability. But Scuba was the least thing, farthest thing from a liability today. Wow. You know, and as we touched on before for the match as well, you know, we needed Redux to step up here for Oxygen and put up a good showing, and he sure did. I mean, look at this highlight here, just absolutely dominating these guys. He had the read, he had the aim, he's shooting bodies, he's feeling confident, man. We'd love to see it from him.
That's the confidence I need coming out from the duelists as well as the team. I feel like it was something that last time we saw Oxygen face off against QOR that we were kind of missing a little bit. So with the opportunity to kind of, all right, what went wrong since the last time that we met, to really fix that, see this team composition, see the players kind of step up, Jen. I was a really big fan of this, especially since this was QOR's map pick as well. And based off of how confident Oxygen looked on it from all aspects of the team, I wouldn't have really guessed it.
Yeah, it was funny because I had talked about Oxygen needing to fix the post-plant situation. They weren't dealing with QOR's aggression and stuff very well in the previous matchup. And then they just forego like all of this utility by going with the clove and just fragged out. Like out of the 11 rounds, offensive rounds that they won, Oxygen were like already just basically dominating the first half. What, they planted like 3 times. It was just getting first bloods and just beating QOR at their own game, which was that aggression game that felt like they let QOR manipulate in their last matchup. And this was a great showing out of Oxygen. I mean, even without the clove, I felt like Oxygen just mechanically were way more warmed up right in this game one.
Even too, when you're looking at the initiators here, Psycho, Mitch on the breach, that gonna take the MVP slot, by the way, and the breach utility was so nice to see in this. But as well, Verno on a agent that he can frag out a little bit more. I feels like this comp was just a lot more curated, where everyone got to see, we got to see a lot more strengths.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting Mitch, one of your more cerebral players on the breach. That's always going to have good results, right? You know, breach, an agent that really enables your stars, enables your fraggers to get the job done. But it's great to see him here and step up and actually frag out on this agent that you don't usually see as more of a frag heavy agent. But he was really, it just goes to show how tight this team is playing and how well-rounded and well drilled and disciplined they are. That Mitch is always in these positions to get these trades on his entry fraggers.
I know that we've talked a lot about the clove, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into this agent and what we got to see coming out of the composition here, because as you said, Jen, this was the first time that we've gotten to see clove on the mainstream here for Challengers, and this was a treat, honestly. The bright graphics, you always knew when clove was up to something, and we got so much in this first match.
Just the extra health made a world of a difference, whether Scuba could survive longer into the rounds, to just be able to duel if there was someone ready to swing around the corner. It was just cool to see that, and also getting a second chance at life of that ultimate. To, like, if you knew you could get that second kill, if you knew you can get into a safer position, it was cool to see Scuba show us how it was done on Lotus. My question is, are we going to see Scuba stay on the clove or the next map? Because we were so excited to see the Omen out of them, and going up against Nerve, that was the big matchup of how they were going to set up their teams. But now that QOR have sort of downloaded that this clove is a problem, how are they going to react to that on Sunset coming up? I don't know if Scuba's going to want to stay on clove. I don't know if this is going to work for another map.
I mean, this might just be one of these situations where you want to ride the hot hand. I don't know if this is part of their gameplay coming in, but you know, if they weren't planning on playing clove before, this may be something where they're sitting there talking about, hey man, just, screw the Omen, pick the Clove back up. You were shredding on them. So, Clove really enabling Scuba, who's one of these higher ceiling mechanical players. And as a controller, you have this onus, this responsibility to stay alive. You have to stay alive to support your team, to provide them with smokes for the takes, for the retakes, for the post plants. It's so important. But you're really just kind of unleashed on Clove. You say, hey, screw it. You go take this fight. Go take this swing. You can get some extra life, and even if you die, you can either come back to life, or if you can't come back to life and don't have your ultimate, you can still drop smokes for us and help us out throughout the round.
Whether it is going to the Clove or what Oxygen has coming up for our next map in the series, going over to Sunset, I'm super intrigued because we did have to see a swap up on Lotus, considering that is where Oxygen took the loss the last time around. But when we look at Sunset instead, this one was Oxygen's map pick. And this was a map that Oxygen was able to win here, Jen. It was close, a 13-10 scoreline, but I don't think it's really the pressure on them to change, more so looking at Core for what they can offer us.
Yeah, I think there's more space on this map to... and there's still some trap plays you can go for. That's why I still think they should go back to the standard Omen to just enable their duelist. And maybe Psycho is right to ride the hot hand of Clove. I don't know. I just don't know if this will work a second time, because of course when you start off at half like 10-1 or something, the other team maybe starts giving up, and it's hard to kind of come back from that scenario. But now that you get to reset your mind and go into Sunset and get a whole long break to talk about the approach to Clove, that I don't think this will be as convincing of a win if it does go Oxygen's way again. But I'm hoping to see the Omen back.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the pre-match chat. If Oxygen can close out map 1 on Lotus and swing it in their favor, it really puts the enemy team on the back foot here, because Sunset last time 13-10 in favor of Oxygen over Core. So I mean, if they stick to the plan, they don't have to change anything, right? They should be able to take this map from Core just as they did the last time.
When we're looking at Oxygen, even if they're not the ones that really necessarily have to change anything, and even if we do want to maybe see Scuba on the Omen, because, that's always good stuff, do we think that maybe we will see a change just from Oxygen trying to stay up and kind of be a step ahead here? Because I don't think Oxygen's ever been slow on that innovating or kind of being ahead of the competition. So, Psycho, do we even just see a change here just to, be ahead of that curve?
I sure hope so. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, maybe they have it in the back pocket, and it could be something that they're saving for later. Maybe they whip it out now. They've obviously been innovating, cooking a little bit, if you will, in the lab, in the kitchen. Creating some of this new meta that we haven't seen before with the Clove. So I would love to see Scuba pick them back up.
All right, well, Agent Select ready, so let's see what's on the horizon for us. Hopefully we get just as fun of a map as we did get to see the first time around. Going over to Sunset. Jen, what are your first thoughts?
No Clove, but we get to see T-Dog back again on the Sova. Sometimes they like to rock on the Fade here, but T-Dog, you gotta understand that this is his main. He knows all the lineups, he gets the information, but that's the trade-off with Sova, right? It's not always consistent what you're getting out of the Recon Bolt, and the Hunter's Fury can be hit or miss, but T-Dog is one of the most impactful Sova players that we have in Challengers. But going up against the explosive comp of Oxygen with the KO and the Breach, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, impact is the key word here. I mean, one trick. It's a heavy accusation, right? And it's a hard accusation to shake. But if you're making it happen and you're having as much impact as T-Dog has, while also leading and IGLing your team, it's hard to say that one tricking Sova is a bad decision here, right? It's something that he obviously feels a lot of comfort on, and he's getting this impact, whether it's through the shock darts, whether it's through setting up his team on the takes with his recon, or in the ultimates. He's one of the best at getting those tags on the ultimate ability.
Well, I definitely need to see the impact coming out in this series. Down one map, they have to win this to try and take it to a decider to not get eliminated from the mid-season cup. Let's see if they have what it takes, and head back on over to our casters for Sunset.
Thank you so much, Sierra. We had a banger of a game last game, and we have a possibility for a banger of a game this game. Wyatt, how are you doing?
Great. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens here, because the last time this was also in the series, and it was the map that Oxygen won. It was their pick, and it's their pick again. And I was half expecting them to change something up with the comp, because a decent amount of time has passed. They were just playing the Gecko on the last map, and Gecko is really good on Sunset, but they're running the same thing, as are Core. So, you know, oftentimes in Valorant, there will be a scenario where because a team wins on a map, they don't really think too actively about switching things up, and then the team that lost the first time runs it back and beats them the second time. But in that same vein, there was stuff that Core were doing that were catching out Oxygen, especially around T-Dog's recons and Sova play, that Oxygen were not ready for, that they should be way more ready for this time.
Definitely knowing what this team might want to pull through, but man, already pretty spectacular lineups coming through from Ziff just to catch this team lacking. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Maybe not. They're taking out Mitch, which is going to be a detrimental. So suppression not available anymore. Although Verno still being able to keep up just a bit.
His timing with Dapper is so awkward. There was a really good paranoia too, but he wins the fight against T-Dog, who was set up so nicely from Nerve.
They're just waiting. Keeping some silence. Oh, with the timing there, they've taken out Dapper. And at this point, now they know. Okay, well, where the majority is, and Oxygen can try to fight around that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work out from the side of Core. Yeah, already having that partnership to try to take out the extremities there.
The aggression from Oxygen, just taking it right to them. That's some serious confidence, and it's no shock that they have it, given how map 1 played out, how on fire they are right now.
Gosh. All right. Just do what you do best. That's fragged out, win out the pistol round. Oxygen taking in the first round, which already kind of makes your hands sweat with the what happened last game, I guess you can say.
Definitely. Strong start here for Redux, who so far has been the better duelist today in the matchup against Zeldris. Zeldris just yesterday was out of control to get Core the win. And last time against Oxygen was the one who diffed Redux. I mean, long story short, both these guys are really talented, and it just seems to go back and forth depending on the day, who's just a bit more hot on that day.
Satchel out.
Slowly moving forward. And A, so they've already received early access to information, but I'm all in all not necessarily mattering. There are 2 players with pistols that they can pick off on the side of Oxygen, but yeah, with this flank coming along, just trying to take the advantage of a more secretive approach.
Frankly, a decent amount committed into this round from Core. They have 3 sheriffs and a ghost. That's a sizable investment to try and either win the round or deal damage here. And Oxygen's buy isn't great either. They have 2 ghosts, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that things get scrappy. Let's see.
3 suppressed.
But they're still wrapping around and playing this partnership kind of to a T. Core, just making sure that they can do everything in their power to get the defusal, but it's not going to work out the way they please. T-Dog needing to take themselves out with a spike.
Overall, pretty competent from Oxygen, only losing 1 body. Gonna have a pretty decent buy here into the next with 3 rifles.
Yes, this should do.
And look at the situation now because of those sheriffs being purchased. T-Dog is relegated to light armor with no Sova drone. Zeldris relegated to light armor, no boombot. That's some significant utility not in play. Those are 2 big info gathering pieces that are not available for Core.
They place the one way down. Does leave Core kind of pushing up for more. Not leaving Redux too much space to really contest anything just yet, but the mid side, tons of space already taken up.
And it's such a smart buy from Redux to pick up the Outlaw here. He knows because there were so many sheriffs that a bunch of these players won't be on full armor and he can one-shot them with it.
already working out too, because actually picking up a weapon of their own, so Redux is able to do a lot more than play with just the Outlaw. 2 players already taken out, so it's a 3-person retake for a 5-person advantage. And that's going to be quite difficult on its own. Yeah, looking like they're just waiting for some sort of potential to take these players out once they want to move away from the spike.
Oxygen are just dialed in. The speed of that hit and the amount of utility that was coming through in well-placed spots to set Redux up to get back sight deep in on that hit. The flashes from Mitch, all really nice. Now with the economy, pretty good. They're going to hunt. Oh, what a flick from Dapper to get that one gun out of Zelder's hands. Oxygen can more than afford to take a bit of a risk here. Their economy's already looking strong.
Feeling pretty good with that being said. And here, especially with kind of the way they're just handling these rounds like it's theirs. And kind of a deja vu to the games that we saw before, especially just Oxygen being dominant like they always are. But yeah, Core definitely on the struggling side, especially now economy just not looking too great.
Forced to have a couple sheriffs. They've got the 2 Vandals that they've carried over. One is on Zeldris. Yet to get a kill yet in this game. Of course, we're only 3 rounds in, but he is the guy you're looking for to get a lot of kills on the Core side, to be the driving force of a victory for them. Shockdart's going to break that tripwire to try and nullify some information towards the A side, make Oxygen feel like they could be pushing out of that area in the map.
Set up the smoke to give themselves some space. They do think that lurk is coming along, but it's not. Core, so far, is trying to read into this team. Now the one-way place down. But even then, no information on both ends.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, they're just going for that full contact re-clear into tiles, knowing that it's possible someone had pushed up. They didn't, but they are being very careful. They do force off Nerve, though, so now with this pressure towards A, it's going to open up the map a little bit. Soldiers almost with the timing.
Setting up only 1 player up inside of mid. Bruno does a great job, though, at catching
30 seconds left.
Nerve. So now they've lost out on so much control. Left over onto the site, so you're going to have to fight this alone, and especially if you're T-Dog with a Stinger, not going to work out. Redux making the effort to keep this site under their control. Oxygen, though, not a lot of struggle. 13 seconds left, and the spike is there.
10 seconds.
I'm wondering if Zeldris is going to try to stop this, but it seems like maybe not. The shots, though, connecting, and they might just be able to find more. I mean, 3 players already on the come up here, and even though the flash has been set down in stone, the refract potential is huge with Bruno slowly peeking themselves forward and taking in the next win.
Big risk for Core to go for that retake just then. Specifically with the Nerve down, they have no smokes to place to actually shut down any of the potential crossfires that could have been set up. So that just makes things really tough. They are going to have the full buy here, though. But it's going to be lacking a couple of utility pieces, I think, again, due to those weapons lost. Specifically, it's going to be T-Dog, who once again can't get a Sova drone. So lacking the ability to re-clear some of these spaces in a safe way, where, you know, not every angle is going to be great for the recon.
No, but still some level of discomfort there, especially with the suppression, so it does back off a couple players on the side of Core on A. And mid is always like the place they just love to go on Oxygen.
Yeah, Dapper's been doing a really nice job exploring that area, trying to exploit towards the door, breaking it, pressuring towards B. And due to some of that pressure, Oxygen have been able to walk up into elbow freely, just contacting all the way through. These Core players, none the wiser.
Oh, with the silence. I don't know what's going on around the angle, but it doesn't matter. Mitch is there, and they found more than one. They have completely cleared up the extremities, and now Core have to struggle to find themselves some space, especially with Dapper just watching alongside mid. So now even when the plank goes down, he has the potential to do even more.
And they know they could be getting backstabbed. He's made so much noise in mid, they haven't re-cleared it. But it's going to be tough to find the timing to actually push forward and make sure the backstab doesn't kill you.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, even blinded Verno can still manage to hold whatever's going on down in the backside. And is this enough? I mean, a 1v3, and you've popped out the ultimate? I don't even think he knows that somebody's on the left-hand side. I mean, now he has to. Absolutely so. The cam is still set up, and there's no way that the defusal could come through. Yeah, 2 players watching the angle, and it's so interesting to pressure the ultimate at that exact moment.
That's a big piece of utility expended from Core. Not all that close to other ultimates. That's a great double push, though, from Oxygen. They are really doing a good job of exploiting the areas on the map that Core are just putting no emphasis on whatsoever. And Dapper's pressure in mid is really throwing them for a loop. It's definitely a good time for them to take a timeout. They are going to be ecoed on this next round, so the momentum is more than likely going to continue for Oxygen. And frankly, part of the problem is too, you know, in some of these situations, I do feel that if T-Dog had the drone, that at different times there, that definitely could have made the difference. If he was able to, you know, potentially re-clear elbow, some of those areas on A where Oxygen are just contacting up for free.
Feels slightly familiar, especially with the way that things were before. Core just having,
this is a nice one.
I mean, a hard time winning out majority of the fights as well. It's like tons of hold from Dapper mid. Everybody just very, very well placed on the post plant there as well. And now, honestly, looking for something huge here,
Cage triggered.
as they seem like they want to push out. Maybe not.
A lot of pressure from Dapper B main, going to force the Core side to at least re-clear it, which is what they do instantly with 3 players. But given the numbers there, it's going to leave a very light. And Oxygen should be able to get the site basically for free. And if that is the case, if they don't have to use any ultimates here, that's ideal for them to carry into the next round when Core are going to actually be buying up again. If they can retain the null command to hit a site, turn off the cipher trips, have a rolling thunder, for the post plant, that can be more than enough to keep the snowball rolling and keep them in this massive lead.
I'm not listening in just yet. Haven't heard much, but repositioning there, and Zeldris is just trying to get a flank around, but it's going to be so difficult to do so. He thinks he could get past this. No, is going to have to break that. But the moment they do, information given away, so just giving their team a little bit more time. But so many ultimates still left on the board for Oxygen, and even then, I mean, you got to work with Sheriffs at the same time, so they're feeling pretty confident with the round that's been given to them so far. Nerve, though, is managing to make so much damage onto the site. It's just them and Zeldris really that you need to take care of, and that cleanup's going to be quite easy.
And this damage that Core are doing, ultimately irrelevant. It'll get them a couple more orbs to build towards ults, which is nice, but in terms of economic damage, it simply does not matter. I mean, look at the money on Oxygen right now. They're going to be able to buy up so many rounds in a row before this even gets broken. T-Dog does get the Hunter's Fury ready, but I'm fully expecting to see a site hit come in with Mitch's null command. Turn off all of that defending utility. And then have that Rolling Thunder available for a post plant. Could even go in with a showstopper. They have a lot of options here.
Yeah, knowing that as well. Oh, the fault line is just ready for Ziff to make the first move. But it's Redux that leaves into the opening, and again, not surprised. Like, this team is just destroying every single player on the side of Core, and it's so surprising because Core, they put up such a fight last time that we got to see this team battle it against each other, and now it's almost as if there really isn't too much to show for, and I guess most of it is just the discomfort of, you know, being pushed as heavy as they are against Redux.
What is happening right now? Are they just giving time to hunt for this guy? I mean, they've done it. I'm gonna assume that was the plan. I was trying to say, like, was there an ult orb someone wanted to get? I mean, perhaps, but they just won this full gun round, not having to use any of their 5 ultimates. Also, I guess Scuba just walked up mid, and there was no one paying attention to it, so T-Dog was just fully exposed. I mean, at this point, there's been such a cataclysmic series of dominoes that have fallen for Core, and Oxygen are just so locked in. This really is the fantastic team that we expected to see this season, that we didn't get all the time, but we're certainly getting right now.
They're expecting the sprays to work, and honestly, it might. The pre-fires just to clear the angles, and trying a different approach, though. Actually, just kidding. They have the sheriffs. Economy is low. It's hard out here. I feel like I'm watching a true documentary about America. It's been quite difficult.
That's too real.
I mean, all the while, though. Yeah.
Actually kind of in trouble. All good. He just throws a nade and gets a free kill. It's been so easy for Oxygen to simply contact through elbow and get into the A site basically for free.
One enemy remaining.
Every single time. Oh my god. And still 5 ultimates. Surely one of these ultimates gets used on this buy round for Core. Surely.
They're keeping it in case something goes wrong. Just in case. And I think that's perfect. When will that be used? Probably when Snarly gets their Rolling Thunder. I don't doubt it. I genuinely think Vern was just waiting to kind of use it as a counter-strike.
I'm ready.
At no point have they really feel inclined to go for a fast, big hit. And they just haven't needed to. Mid has been so exposed for Core. The Dapper is just doing whatever he pleases, pushing through door, pushing top mid, hanging around tiles, trying to catch rotators. They're never rooting him out of that position. And if it's not him, it's someone else. And then or alternatively, the team is working towards elbow. They're basically getting it for free. It's been really tough for them. Wow, TP into B to try and get some info is interesting. And now they're just straight up walking in.
Oh, they don't know, though. Oh, they know, though. Redux knows. Absolutely. Dude, and it's always the timing. Like, it's absolutely perfect. Whenever... honestly, I think it was just also unfortunate that T-Dog could not hear anything. The ultimate popping out for the showstopper, especially with the paranoia kind of combined with that. Now Dapper having to watch the angle, making sure that nobody's going to try to push themselves away, but the paranoia coming in to some sort of essence down on the B side, but does it really matter? I mean, Scuba's still stuck around the back, and all they need to do again is utilize this as that counter-strike to make it happen for Verno. Sprays is all you need. And right now, all you need is Scuba as well. Just looking for the last shot to take away in the TP to bring this to life. The 9-0 possibility, especially as Nerve walks away from the situation. Rightfully so. This was a very hard round to win.
They decided to do it. They simply all pressed Q, and they won the round. What a shocker when you use 5 ultimates on one site. You win the round. That's crazy.
Where do you go from here?
At least Nerve saved his rifle. At least he saved it. Core gonna take a timeout here. which is much needed given the state of the game score and the state of the scoreboard. That is not a pretty picture. And then when you look at the other side, it is just all too easy for Oxygen. They all have a very solid KD. I mean, in every aspect of the game right now, they are running away with this. I mean, this is just simply the team that, when you looked at in the offseason, you were impressed by the fact that they could contest with the partnership teams. It felt like they could do well in the, like they would be a contending team, like a solid team in the partnership league. Or at the very least, you're looking at Redux and Verno as prospects to be in the league. I think Scuba as well. Dapper continuing to compete and has just been so solid since being on this Oxygen roster, playing a ton of Cypher, one of his original roles in a really strong Cypher meta. They've just got it all going for them right now.
I feel like this is just going to be so bad. There's going to be so much eruption.
Yeah, they want to get this fault line core over onto A and fight this. Eldris is deep with the showstopper. What? This is a cool set play out of the timeout.
Dude, that was honestly immaculate. The way Zeldris played that. Now, though, I mean, they've managed to get one and pick up a rifle. But the biggest issue at hand is that Verno's watching this flank. Not only that, but they have so much util to really have a say in this, not wanting to pull it out at the wrong moment, waiting with patience, and also repositioning themselves, but it's not enough, especially as Zeldris is there. Now, reposition of their own starting to come through.
Just playing it safely now. Core aren't trying to give anything away. They want to get that first round on the board. And off the back of that cool set piece that they brought in just after the timeout, a totally different round opening. They haven't done anything similar to that. Zeldris heating up on the round two is a good sign. He's kind of yet to really be able to get his footing in the game until this round.
30
so
seconds
perhaps
left.
Can get some momentum off the back of it, start to pick things up.
Oh, they're just leaving it. Don't care about it. They know it's a 1v4. Big difference in how many players there are, but even then, I mean, economy is shining above the rest, so not much to worry about.
I mean, look at all that util. There was a recon from T-Dog, the fault line, a paranoia went in as well. And then obviously, the crux of it, that showstopper. Down mid, down tiles. Super cool setup. But not to rain on their parade, you can only do that one time. So what are they going to bring on this round? They don't have another showstopper, and you can't really get away with that one. It's a deep recon towards A, gets broken immediately, and going to make a slow crawl up mid.
Just looking for that first-hand pick that really is going to kind of make a dent into players that they have right now. Zeldris managing to find one of their own, and it's on Verno. So this is going to be huge. Verno's that opening for the side of Oxygen.
Yeah, a lot of utility off of the table now. And Zeldris, seriously, off that nice play, he's finding his confidence. He's taking fights. Matters into his own hands.
Yeah, exactly how it needed to be played, too. As your duelist, like, just pushing up, feeding for that sort of confidence, but it seems like even then a flank coming around as Nerve is trying to make weight and keep this team from coming down into the site, but there's not a lot of util being used here to manage the space, but it seems like regardless, they don't need it. They have the partnership set down, but it's Redux for Paint Shell to zone. The 3 players down on the extremities, and they have to isolate these fights and need to find a way on how they're going to keep this round in, but 14 seconds left, and a plate that just won't seem to make its way. They've created some space, some of that damage coming down on Sif, and that's going to be huge. Already a smoke left available, and a fake TP, but a beautiful shot from Scuba, keeping them in the game.
ice cold on that peak.
Last round before the switch.
So aware of his positioning. That crosshair placement was perfect. And despite that man advantage, things still crumble away. Core have to just be feeling absolutely deflated after that. Another opportunity at a round win just squandered. 10-1 now is the score. Oxygen are just elite right now. Even with a man down situation, they're so on point individually that it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll see if that ends up being the case here. I say that as Redux just ints to his death.
Oh, dude, this is huge. There's nothing for Ziff to look at, and kind of countering the one-way. It doesn't even push onto the site regardless. They have so much information just settled down in mid, so yeah, they're just going to push for a rotation at this point.
A deep recon was sent A from T-Dog. Didn't spot anyone out. Didn't get broken. So at the moment, the setup hasn't really changed all too much, and even Snarly is drifting a bit towards mid, holding a very passive angle. They're really not scared about anyone going A right now.
Mm-hmm.
Things are getting quiet, but Mitch contacting up, once again realizing elbow is wide open, as has been the case on so many rounds here.
Interesting to see T-Dog just kind of wait around in mid, and I'm assuming just because of previous iterations of just having Oxygen
Standing ahead.
sit around alongside Dapper. But even then, yep, timing definitely works in favor. T-Dog reading into the situation. But again, rotation coming in maybe just a bit too soon. Here it comes, 14 seconds, and nobody is trying to get settled down into the A side. I mean, maybe not. There comes the first shot, but even then, Oxygen, not a lot of health and not a lot of players to play into this. But it's Scuba that just won't let this team go down. The shots through the box. They have not won the round because Ziff stayed away long enough, but regardless, the 3K just to keep Oxygen. Man, running, that's crazy.
Hey, that was a damn nice try. But all good. He played it for VLR. Stats are looking crispy after that 3K. This was definitely a good effort. He almost got them all. 10-2 for Oxygen after another phenomenal attacking half. That was the case on Lotus. They ran away with the game. They've done the same here. And again, Core are just Sisyphus pushing the boulder. It is the impossible goddamn task for them. They have to climb so far uphill.
3 suppressed.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's such pure information. And they just pretty much preoccupied mid. So, great pistol round to start. All they need to do is just secure it. Paint shell readily available. So the moment they get one pick or maybe even potential, and it would have been so good to zone these players out, but they've lost that one solid key piece of util that would have done so much damage.
Dapper's still just trying to control the space here, and it looks like he'll be able to do so uncontested. But honestly doesn't feel comfortable doing so and backs off. That is the smart play.
There.
So he's going to rotate into sight with Scuba. They're going to try to play off of his utility. And actually, Verno is on the way as well. Going to just try and support. Has one flash left. If it's well timed, that could get him a pistol round win here.
Breaking down cameras that are set aside, but it's Dapper. Oh no, the paranoia already making its way down to it. And of course, Zeldris comes alongside. Down to the outskirts, but nobody was there. No intel, no information, other than that boom bot alone. And there was no flash to really prep out. So now Scuba taking a shot off T-Dog. And you have Core struggling yet again, but funneling themselves down towards, the outskirts. There's not much to use. An Aftershock maybe that possibly won't reach to the extent that they wanted a flash, but even then, 3 players just sitting on the outskirts and potential for this round to be won out by Oxygen. Body blocking themselves to make sure this round goes their way, but it's unbelievable.
God. They literally clicked mouse 1 at the spike through the smoke and killed everyone.
Jeez.
The state of the game. I mean, They should not be getting away with that. And this spike was a hair away from getting defused as well. That is unfortunate for Oxygen. Literally every game today, the team that starts attack goes up massively. The team that's down wins the pistol, gets like 4 rounds, and then loses. That has been every map today, and it's gonna happen again.
This is like watching a movie with the same plot line.
It's Groundhog Day. We're literally seeing the same thing every game. And then I'm gonna say, well, I'm not believing in core yet. They have to get to X amount of rounds, and then they get about that amount of rounds, and then they lose after one team takes a timeout. They build up the ults. It's just, I've seen this story over and over today.
Hey, if it happens again, I give them kudos.
Maybe core will finally be the team to break the cycle and have the greatest comeback of all time.
I'm always a believer. I like a good comeback story.
One enemy remaining.
Is that gonna happen? Possibly. I'm a believer, but I think Scuba is not.
God.
Wow. Okay. I don't.
Nasty.
Ending that off with a 1-click.
Some nasty work. If he was playing Clove, this would be over already. Just let him run around and shoot people.
I do genuinely think Clove would have went pretty hard.
I was definitely hoping to see it again. If there's one thing I'm satisfied about today, it's that we got to see a Clove game. That
was my first one, like, casted ever, and it was great.
Oxygen on the full buy now. Rifles all around, few heavy armors. Couple lesser weapons for core. Fast fight. Zelder's nades just to save his own life.
Yeah, they're having a field day with this one, though. Trying to pick out some shots. They've done a lot of damage on Scuba,
Found my wire.
which could play pretty well into the future, but tons of utility still prepped up and ready. So much silence on the A side.
We're gonna cut noise now. Took them a second.
There.
Shocking just to make sure there wasn't anybody close. Oh, that knife gets a lot of information. I think that got 3 players.
Oh, and they run it down. So they can run this team up. Man, Oxygen, though, they're not giving up. So many players just settle down onto site and as if just waiting for this to
Spike
dissipate.
planted.
Dapper, though, having the advantage when it comes down to the health. Might just be able to pick some of these players off, though. Redux right behind is going to be able to watch whatever's going on right behind them. The potential for refrags is there. And it's great. 1v1 scenario. Snarly doesn't necessarily have a lot to work with, but Redux with a 3K to bring things down to that 11-4. And how many rounds was it again that you wanted to see from core?
To start believing, I don't know, like 8 or something like that. But yeah, that's not going to happen when Redux is active and online like he is today. 15-9 right now. Solid on the entrying.
Yeah.
It's a nice little clutch as well. But actually, honestly, Scuba was the one who really stepped up. He was only at 4 HP and managed to get 2 on the site. He very easily could have gone down to any stray bullet, and things would have gone way more smoothly for core. They almost certainly would have locked that round up. It's big from him. Oxygen are going to take a timeout now. Similar to last map when they were almost about to win, when they were on the precipice of crossing the finish line, they took that timeout just to ensure that they end things. Redux is hitting a little goddamn dance in the corner. He's feeling himself. They're in the zone. Oxygen are locked in.
I mean, they're pretty relaxed. I'm taking in Psycho's psychoanalysis, pun intended. of the body language. And yeah, he's right. Like,
They're in
laid
chill
back in the
mode.
chair, dancing. I see it. I see the dominance.
Just such a better Oxygen than we saw during the season.
I agree.
Where at times, I think they looked a little bit unfocused, and they were playing all of the same comps, looking really the same as they did in the offseason, where some other teams were advancing, switching things up, and they lagged behind just a little bit, but they're right back to top form.
Nowhere to run!
Just took them some review, honestly. And they're, like you said, right back to it. But yeah, Verno pretty much just shut that down. Seems like they're going to continue to shut things down as well, with 2 players already taken down. But that's Nerve and Zeldris.
Cage triggered.
And no smokes readily available, so they're going to have to fight this off every single angle to the best of their ability
I think
here.
they have any idea that Mitch is here, but he only has a judge, so he can't even really get a good flank right now. Oh,
does in
never
fact
mind.
spike down
He got the
Dude, that-
mid-range judge kill.
I've seen the impossible with the judge. I don't like the fact that still was able to even connect is crazy, and they might just do it again. Redux is I don't even know what's going on. Like, he can fly. It's great, pushing themselves down towards backside, and now it's left up to Snarly. They do have fault line readily available, and they create a clutch of a lifetime to keep Core in the game.
I mean, Oxygen did what they could with that double judge situation. I think Redux recovered a rifle, so he was just trying to like trade for Mitch being a little juicy piece of bait right here. Yeah, but Snarly with a nice snap. And again, we've returned to the silly zone.
Revealing area.
We're in the depths of Valorant hell, waiting to see who wins. Core fighting so desperately to keep themselves in the game. Although, like, it just takes one split second.
Yeah, Core just gonna slow things down here. Drone for a bit of information.
Dapper watching to keep eyes just in case Nerve does want to peek that, which I don't think is going to be the case right now. Just, oh, Cam already spotted, and they know somebody's watching the angle. Good read off Nerve.
Recon's going to come into the B side, not spot anything out. They're going to try and get in quickly off this, but I like that Oxygen are trying to control B main
30
instead.
seconds left.
Oh, and they still managed to pick
Spike
off some of those
down,
shots.
B.
Okay, one for Redux. Ends up working out. But not going to be
Spike
too
planted.
easy. Especially with this push that they are trying to get with the flank coming alongside from Zip. One shot from Snarly, not necessarily connecting, but the fault line still
better than yours.
going to be readily available in like 15 seconds. So there's so much to play with here, especially if you're Core. This flank coming along, Mitch just not being able to make any shots connect with the frenzy. Yep, still holding on though. As the time ticks, they just wait on the outskirts to keep themselves alive. So, I mean, valiant effort overall. Oxygen definitely feeling a slight comfort in this game, especially as they are, I mean, down to that 11-6 now with that spike detonating. But yeah, perfect round to put into their pockets from Core. It just has to continue, right? Vandal's coming out this next round, so definitely keeping that in their own minds.
And I'm not at believer territory yet, but we're getting there. And then as soon as I get there,
My eyes are
hope's dashed. At least that's what I feel like right now. But again, Core doing a nice job trying to get back into this game. We're arriving at the point, though, that always the inevitability of the Valorant comeback is eventually the team in the lead gets a hell of a lot of ultimates. They all press Q, and they get a free round win. And we're about to be at that situation. Mitch is 1 away from the Null Command. Verno's 2 away from the Rolling Thunder. They've already got the Showstopper. They've already got the Neural Theft. We're approaching that just go for a big retake with a ton of utility moment.
Spike in hand. Just gnarly. Just completely... I mean, honestly, not left alone in mid. They are looking for a more passive approach on the side of Oxygen. There hasn't really been too much aggressiveness on the defense that I've noticed so far, so just playing for the potential to keep the site.
Just waiting for that recon to be active here. Overall, pretty passive setup for Oxygen. Just going to fall back, retreat, not let this showstopper get any value.
They set this up so well, but I think my biggest worry is Redux has a showstopper of their own. Dapper has an ultimate readily available, and Scuba does as well. So there's so much potential here. Even then, Verno could honestly load up that Rolling Thunder to use, kind of to counter everything that has already been pushed out, but it's Redux looking for a shot, not gonna use it though. And I like it, they've created patience around the situation and somehow still manages to find another one. Paint shell to zone it down, and even then Oxygen, they are back in action and looking for that match point. One more left to it, and it's Verno to pick it off, and Redux to clean it up. 12-6 for the match point.
How does Redux get away with that? He's so on point right now on Sunset. The 3K with, what was that, 4 HP? 11 HP, swings around, double headshot, little aim adjustment, the nice movement with that too. I mean, what a player for Oxygen. Again, just one of NA's best prospects at the moment for the future of the region.
Revealing area.
Nobody's ever mid. I think they're starting to pick up on that. Especially with the push coming through, dude. He's just standing there. I like the cam. I like the positioning. Watching both angles, but Redux on an off angle. So the moment there is any assistance needed, it's there.
Got a ton of info. He ends up spotting out 3 players there. 2 from the legs over tiles, and then the player that shot the cam. You can see Oxygen, they've rotated for this as well. Redux in prime position! Great entry from Zeldris.
I know exactly where you are.
Nobody there. Cam was taken out, so Dapper couldn't necessarily do anything. Now at this point, 2 players already spotted, so the ultimate is there. Rolling Thunder, though, available on the side of Oxygen. So much util to use, but they're still stuck down towards backside. Verno not feeling confident enough to really expend that ult at this moment in time. I mean, there's some leeway here. Keep the Vandals in your hand. Kind of just walk away from it.
Player standing.
Scuba just going to save this one over, which I believe will then ensure that they can get a full buy on the next. He should be able to drop Verno a rifle. So Oxygen with another shot here, and QOR is still just trying to do the impossible. Since that one 3K round where Zeldris went for that deep double satchel in mid, he's definitely stepped it up. He's come to life, finding some entries. Seems like he's a lot more confident in the duels. But it might just be too little too late.
He's fighting for his life. He was trying to keep himself alive. For the fighting moment. This could be the round, but I'm not gonna lie, QOR have been looking insanely good.
This is a nice spot.
As they continue to fight for, I mean, some sort of redemption.
This goes here.
QOR all gathered up right now towards B. If they go to that area of the map, they're gonna have all of Dapper's utility to contend with.
Yeah.
Redux is gonna get out of there and play it safe. Oh my god. Speed from Zell just trying to catch him.
Yeah, Nate already set up. They have information, but Redux can't really attest to anything much other than waiting down to the backside. But the spike is there. They didn't have to peek it. Peeking the angle just more so out of the curiosity of if they can get more than one. It didn't necessarily work out. Timing is immense there, especially as Zeldris Now taking another, but luckily enough, getting a resurrection off of mid. Showstopper set down 2-8 and manages to find damage of their own, but the Rolling Thunder still available. 1v2 situation. Open for the pop. They find the one possibility for the second there, and this might be it, but it's not over just yet. Zeldris does not want the game to end.
Didn't risk it, but honestly, Verno could have gone for the Rolling Thunder there, and I think he just wins the game. But ends up just trying to take that swing, get the kill with the rifle, and it doesn't happen. And that's going to continue to give Core just a little bit of life here. So again, it's Zeldris who's really stepping this up. That crucial kill with the showstopper wins the 1v1 at the end. 20 for 16. I mean, at some point, both him and Nerve, their stats were dismal in the first half. A huge resurgence from him here in the second part of the game.
They thrown the nade down for a big potential clear. Not even going to say potential, a huge clear. They managed to pick up, yeah, looking at the leg, now up top. And it's like they're used to the positioning of Oxygen, and I don't blame them. They've been repetitively doing the same thing, especially with the dissipation already coming up. It's up to Zeldris to clear things. Yeah, you got a sheriff in hand. Not much to do with it. Now, huge round win from Core. And are you on the believer side yet?
We're, you know, almost.
Almost.
We're almost on the believers' side. Because Zeldris is now in sick form. Fully found his confidence. It feels like he can do no wrong. Oxygen are going to take their second timeout here to try and ensure their victory. This is the closest we've gotten to a comeback all day. Again, we've been in this situation 4 times now. The same way these games have played out, where a team goes up to a massive lead in the first half, and then the other team starts to mount a comeback. It hasn't gotten there yet, but maybe Zeldris is just the key to finally making that a reality.
I think if the fault line does not work, I'm a believer. I think that's where I'm at right now. And majority of that being, I don't know, like, it's so interesting how Oxygen just always tend to let it go once they're on the defense. And I'm assuming that majority of that is really just because they rely so heavily on Redux to get the entry that, you know, I do feel like there's a bit of that fault when you start to be a tad more passive. But
this is a nice spot.
Definitely heavily relying on that
goes there.
That Rolling Thunder, I gotta be honest with you.
Absolutely. Redux somewhat close to getting his showstopper. T-Dog's gonna have the Hunter's Fury here. Recon into mid to get some info. Shock Dart coming through as well, just for a bit of clearance. Oxygen really stacked up towards the B side right now. You have Scuba just kind of peeking towards the door, and Diverno ready to fault line if he needs to, but it's going to be mid pressure from Core. Top mid pressure at that.
Deploying drone.
Despite so many players from Core like constantly giving mid presence, nobody fights that. And it's so interesting. Dude, a fault line could ruin the lives of many. Like, huge earthquake down the middle, and it's over. And just nothing.
And at this point now, it seems like Oxygen aren't buying that there's going to really be too much pressure mid, but they do have also Dapper's cam has eyes on that, so he's just watching the cross right now. They know no one is going mid. Omen TP broken immediately. They're going to have to contend with these trips.
So lucky that
Found my wire.
didn't do more damage than what I thought it was going to. And interestingly enough, Mitch flashing, but not actually trying to profit off of it. Instead, peeking at the wrong time, not waiting for the Rolling Thunder. And they're just allowing themselves to get picked off one by one. Now at this point...
it feels like they rushed things there. It really does. Scuba and Redux, it's just in their best interest to save at this point. Keep the credits that they can.
enemy remaining.
Definitely having to learn from this mistake, and it was huge. I mean, at least then they had a 5-person retake they could have committed to. And I feel like once the spike gets planted, they start to get antsy, and I guess maybe so might be punishment of its own, just losing so many players. But I'm just interested that they're not really abusing Redux and the fact that he wins 1v1s 99% of the time with a breach util. You throw him outside of B, and there's so much potential for Redux to find something. So, I mean, I kind of also wish that we saw more aggression, you know, on the side of the defensive side.
Yeah, definitely. They're playing this really passive, and when they're playing it passive like that, you're right. They should be waiting for the breach ultimate to come in. If you're going to play for retake, go all out and play for retake. But they've just kind of, you know, went for a play in that awkward bit of middle ground where they, you know, swung before they were ready for all that. It was just not the right timing. They're buying up into this one, though. Still 1 round away from victory. Core have actually made this comeback believable. It is a reality.
I finally believe. Oh my gosh. And that's huge, though. A collection of the orb to give Redux confidence, and that's what we need.
Oxygen have this stacked setup towards A with the breach. Feeling comfortable with Dapper to just play B with those tripwires. Core have done a nice job actually clearing out Dapper's setups, though. I don't really think there's been any moments where they walked into trips, got caught, anything like that, so.
Showstopper finally pops itself out for Zeldris. Not finding much. And this time, it's different. I do see a different approach on the side of Oxygen. They've settled down for just Dapper set down on the B site. More caution, but still in the same spot as they always are. But I'm surprised there wasn't much of a punishment to it. Zeldris does pick off, though.
30 seconds left.
And now at this point, they have to just play for retake. Double ult, send in the Rolling Thunder, Redux double satchel with the Showstopper. They've got to be able to win off this. Great paranoia to cross, too.
Done that, but I do think they've settled maybe just a little bit too soon for, I guess, the ultimate set down there on the raise. But regardless, maybe if Zeldris can keep this down, they've set down the nade, and it might just be enough. But maybe not. The Fusel coming down, and they've settled for it. The Fusel there, and the win for Oxygen finally. So it looked rough. And I love how you started believing the round.
I know, literally, I'm telling you. The second that I begin to believe, it's over.
I think if you just didn't believe it, they would have come back.
I'm going to need every single team we saw today to hit the defensive side VOD reviews. It was literally every map was a team going like a 9 or 10 up, or like 11 on attack halves, and then the other team trying to come back when it switches, but it's too little too late. But it was good to see Oxygen really in sick form right now, though, because that's what we expected of them in the regular season, and it just didn't play out in the way that they had hoped, the way that I think the fans had hoped and the community had expected. So this is a nice start to the mid-season playoffs here. And I also really like that on Map 1 Lotus, they're now switching things up, bringing some new things to the table, not just running the old comps from the offseason, which is what they did in the regular season. So my faith in the team has definitely gone back up.
Okay, I have to agree. But also, like, I really do. I'm gonna have to like emphasize your words there, where it's like hit the VODs on the defense, dude. The amount of times that we really like they should have ran away with so many rounds, and you know, executions on the attack were so well thought out, well planned, and then it felt like everything kind of just fell apart the moment that we started reaching that defensive conclusion. But of course, we still do have the analyst desk and an interview for you guys that's coming up. So it's the end of me and Wyatt as of right now. We'll see you guys. The end of us. We'll see you guys maybe another time. But let's go back to the analyst desk that's waiting for you right now.
First off, a moment of silence for the end of Gompers and Wyatt. So tragic, gone too soon. It's been lovely. But, no, I mean, a moment of silence, too. We have to talk about Core in the series. It was a series that they were able to best Oxygen on in the past, but Jen, on the day, mid-season cup wasn't about to happen.
Jeez, like, but can we at least appreciate, like, being down, what, like 10-1 and almost getting us into OT sure had us going, but hey, I think Wyatt was exactly right. Gotta hit the defense bod reviews for every team here today.
Yeah, it's actually, we were even talking about that as analysts while we were muted during the stream. I mean, it's just crazy, these challenger matches, how attack-sided all of these have been. They've been true IGL battles, attack-side battles, really seeing the best of these attacking squads coming through.
And it was cool to just look at the difference of compositions. Big win condition on Sunset is how do you deal with that opponent's Cypher? And we saw those two different approaches. One with Core, where the Sova continues, and T-Dog, you were hoping to see that impact, right? And he was trying to use those shock bolts to deal with this annoying Cypher util. On the other side, you had the KO and the knife. But what we could appreciate about the KO was just the amount of information, being able to scan the environment and giving Oxygen so much confidence to lead off on a lot of the first kills in the first half.
100%. Though when it's swapped, I mean, Core on the backhand of Zelda is having so much of the confidence to make this a lot closer of an affair than we originally thought. But Oxygen, they'd already taken such a big lead at that point in cycle. They only needed a few more to close it out. Once they had ults online, it's Destiny's kind of in their hands.
Yeah, Core was really getting activated there, especially Zell says. It's a tough uphill battle going into the attacking half with such a deficit, but they really put up a good fight. I mean, Zeldris was absolutely activated. 28 kills, 8 first bloods. That's double anybody else on the entire map for this map. So absolutely incredible play for him, but unfortunately fell just short, and that's going to be their exit from this single elimination mid-season cup.
Unfortunate for them, but we were stoked to see Scuba back on the Omen and also just frag out like he did on the first map. Those one-ways were so important. The paranoia entries, the smokes were crucial, and it was cool to see that hot hand from Scuba translate from Lotus into Sunset, and you didn't even need that clove self-support stuff. He was actually able to help the whole team. I mean, killing helps the team as well. Oxygen were locked in. The economy got out of control, obviously, when he start off like the half like 10-1, so things were able to reset into the second half there for Korg, being able to not have the economy, just reset the economy in general, and that comeback was starting to happen. And I'm sure just the mental is in shambles when you're in single limb trying to come back from that big of a deficit. So for this to be within a 3-round grasp for Core, I'm impressed with their resilience to turn it around the second half.
You're talking about the mental, but I think too, off of that, this was a win that I think Oxygen needed going on forward, especially considering the loss that they did take after being one of the teams, Psycho, that were in contention for being that top team that we talked about in Challengers, taking that loss in week 5. But this was Oxygen a little bit more used to what we are seeing there. So I like that we get to see them go up against MXS next. It match that we've seen play out quite a few times.
Oh, yeah. It's almost the El Clasico of challengers at this point. Oxygen, the powerhouse team that was winning these off-season events, taking maps and even series wins and tournament wins off of franchise teams. This looked like a team that was a shoe-in to be the top of their group this season. So it was interesting to see them kind of stumble in their initial matchup against MXS, and then subsequently in the matchup against Core, right? And ending the group 3 and 3 and 2 is something that I know they absolutely did not want to do. So they've obviously hit it hard in their boot camp. I saw the coach out there making them do push-ups. They were doing the whole shebang. So these guys came in clearly a different team than they were in the regular season, potentially even the team that we expected them to be this season. So this was an important win for Oxygen, one that I know they needed, and will give them the momentum to propel them into this MXS series with a lot of confidence.
And just to give even more credit to Oxygen, the absolute 180 that they did compared to the last matchup, we went to the same maps, but the difference in performance was insane, where it was a lot about these gunfights for Oxygen and leading off rounds on a good foot and using that information and dealing with the aggression of Core, which they did so much of a better job of, even switching up their composition on Lotus to go towards a clove and really throwing them for a loop, to going back to standard and just beating them at their own game. So big shout out to Oxygen and the work they did between the regular season to now.
It's an Oxygen that we don't have to say goodbye to, which is exciting to see. And it's an Oxygen we'll get to say hello to with an interview coming up shortly. We have our post-series highlights first, so don't go too far. We'll be right back.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Silver's dead.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One. Last player standing. On A. One enemy remaining. Spike planted.
My eyes open.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
All right, and with that, Oxygen redemption arc taking the 2-0 victory over Core. And on the line, I have Scuba to chat a little bit more about things. I have to say, am I muted? No, I feel like I'm good on my end. I'm hearing from Prod, maybe not, but hey, I'm here. And now I want to bring Scuba on the line to chat a little bit more about the series, what we got to see, and this matchup that, hey, we got to see in week 5 of Challengers that maybe didn't go out so well. So make sure the audio issues, everything on our end is all squared away real fast before we get on into this. But it'll be nice. I want to hear, we saw a lot about the clove. I want to know more about the clove going on into this and what Scuba has to think about that. So that's our first time that we get to see clove in Challengers as well. So here we go. Scuba, hello. How are you feeling after the series and your clove debut?
I'm feeling great. Honestly, it was an accident. The clove pick, we didn't really mean to do it, but we just said whatever, and we just went with it.
First off, how does that come across as an accident? Like, do you just misclick? How do you make that work anyways? Because like the rest of the comp was changed anyways.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, it was we've been preparing it for like a week or so, and yeah, I was honestly really excited to play it for the first time. I think I'm the first player in North America to play it in a pro match. So yeah, it was super fun.
I want to let you know as well, my analysts right away in my ears are like, what? As soon as you said it was an accident. You had to scroll for a second there. But it was definitely really fun seeing you swap over to the clove for the first map of the series, especially too, since all of us over on the desk are a really big fan of your Omen. So this has been something that's in the works. You've been preparing it. I want to know, when it came to game day, you got to play a little of both. Which one do you kind of like more at the moment?
Which one do I like more? I want to play a little bit more clove. It was super fun. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get to use my ult a lot, and that's like the main thing that's super good on her, or the champ. And yeah, I'm super excited to play some more.
Well, I'm definitely hoping we get to see a lot more clove later on in the mid-season cup, because we were definitely disappointed we didn't get to see clove for Sunset here. I want to talk about this series because week 5 of Challengers going up against Core, Oxygen took that upset loss, 1-2 at the end of things. So how did you guys prepare going into this series to have a drastically different result?
To be honest, we felt that we had a pretty bad first split, due to reasons like I won't get to, but honestly, we had a boot camp last week and it really got us back in the headspace we needed to be. And yeah, I think we're starting to play just how we used to, and I think that's the key to us.
That's definitely nice to hear, because there's definitely really strong pieces on this team. So I want to see this Oxygen with the confidence going on forward. And now that you get to go on forward in the Mid-Season Cup, you're facing off against MXS, a team that Oxygen has faced off against many times before, and you fell to the hands of week 1. So I want to know how you're looking forward to that match and kind of your thoughts ahead of that match on Saturday.
I mean, we play against MXS all the time at this point, and it's always a fun game. They always push us to our limits. I got a bunch of buddies on that team, and yeah, I'm just excited to play.
Oh, definitely excited to be watching that. It's definitely late, but so I want to make sure you can get some rest. Scuba, thanks so much for chatting. Have a good night, okay?
Yep, you too.
Thank you. As for us, not letting them off the hook quite yet. We got to bring our analysts back here, bring Jen and Psycho, just to start talking about the end of the day, everything else. A little celebration there. I honestly,
yeah,
I'm really bad.
Oh yeah, do the redux.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I have to say, because Psycho, I heard you in my ear right away with the clove being an accident. I'm so bad at any sort of jokes, or I wholeheartedly believed him for a second.
Dude, what a troll. I thought for sure he was truthful. I mean, it is kind of like a thing to like troll your teammates and hover a character. It used to be the thing back in the day. Someone would click on Yoru and be like, I'm gonna do it. You know, I thought maybe this was one of those situations, but it's good to hear that this is something that they actually cooked up. I really liked what I saw from it. I do agree with what he said. I would have liked to see a little bit more from the res, but again, you really have a really small window to use that res after you go down. So you know, it's a hard thing to incorporate, but I'm sure with some more grinding and scrims, he's going to get that.
Well, we definitely get the opportunity to be seeing Oxygen play a little bit more going on forward, as they will be making it into the semifinals here of the Mid-Season Cup, looking ahead to the bracket. I'm definitely excited for who they're going to be playing up against next with that fabled MXS rematch on the horizon. But of course, Jen, on the bottom end of this bracket, I say bottom end like this isn't an equal bracket, the other side of the bracket here, we still have 2 quarterfinal matches that are going to be taking place tomorrow.
Oh my God, these are going to be some good matches. And of course, the big dinner at the end is MXS and Oxygen, of course. But we got to start with the appetizers. M80 and TSM are going to rematch. The last time they met, it was 2-0 for M80, but it was like 13-11 on Lotus. Like, that could have gone either way, and TSM looked like a different beast just based on how much they fought against YFP there in the round of 12. And Blin emerges from relegation, so they're a new face going up against Turtle Troop, who had everyone questioning just what their potential really was with all the type of funny comps and strats that they came out with in Challengers. So we're going to be entertained tomorrow.
Entertained? Are you not entertained?
Are you not
That's
entertained?
what I expect. I expected. I mean, M80, obviously the team to beat here. You know, absolutely dominant last year. Fell just short at Ascension. They came back this year with a vengeance, retooled by bringing in Nitro and good old BCJ at the initiator role. But you know, TSM. I mean, I really like what I saw from them yesterday. You know, we had the analyst desk with Roy and I yesterday watching how TSM play, and him and I were chatting a bit about it. And it's some interesting stuff that they're cooking up in Sim. Oh my gosh, Sim. What an animal yesterday. So that's going to be a tough matchup, M80 versus TSM. So that's one to watch for sure. And, you know, on the other side, you got Turtle Troop. Turtle Troop, the team that took the only map off of M80. M80 were expected to go 5-0 in groups, and Turtle Troop came out with the upset. So those guys are absolutely cooking in the lab right now. So 2 very good, very enticing matchups for tomorrow, and some really exciting Valorant ahead of us.
100%. So make sure you're coming back tomorrow to be catching our other 2 quarterfinal matches. But that is unfortunately going to be it for today. That is the end, as Gompers would put it, of Lemon Kiwi, Sierradon, and Psycho here. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And make sure we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. See you real soon.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Flashback.
Grounded.
Any angle.
Enemy kill. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy. One enemy remaining. One enemy One enemy remains left. One enemy remaining. One enemy One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Scuba's dead.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One. Last player standing. On A. One enemy remaining. Spike planted.
My eyes open.
One enemy remaining.
The game starts long before the game starts. And warm hands are faster hands. Gain the upper hand and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.